So I'm just gonna go ahead and do a Scape and listen while I'm playing on my Iron Man in the background, just cutting some trees. Um, I don't know if you guys care about my Iron Man progress, but I am currently cutting normal trees so that I can like get my fletching up a little bit. Because I have about 1K oaks that I cut that I want to fletch and low alk them, I guess, at the Fountain of Rune until I can make enough money for some real magic training. uh, so basically, um, I just want to talk about my job, like as a bouncer. I just want to talk about what it's like to be a bouncer. All that good stuff, like where I work. Talk a little bit about that. So, like I said in my introduction video, um, I'm a bouncer, and basically, if you don't know what that entails, which I'm pretty sure most people do, basically it's like the security that you see at bars and stuff like that who are like escorting people out and stuff. I mean, in movies they're portrayed all the time as like huge guys who are just like kicking ass and taking names, and like it doesn't matter, even if they don't like you, they can just throw you out. So I just want to talk a little bit about like why it's so much different than what you've come to expect from watching movies. So basically about a year ago, I was playing drums for like this worship service thing that they were having at the church. I mean, at the bar through a church, and it was called Refresh. And I've been playing drums for 9 years actually, so I'm pretty much like I'm all over the place all the time doing things. So I was playing drums at this bar one weekend, and it was like a Sunday at like we had to be there at 7 a.m. for practice and all this stuff, and it was just really stupid. But afterwards, I was talking to the manager at the bar. Just kind of I was kind of joking around, but at the time, like I really was looking for a job because I needed like something just to help aside from like student loans and stuff that I was getting from my parents. And I just like I was like, whatever, I want to have my own money where I can like do things. Hold on one second while I enter my pin. So I just wanted my own money, like I just wanted to be able to do my own thing, buy whatever I wanted to buy, whatever that means to you. So I was like, I was joking around with her, and I was just like, hey, are you hiring or whatever? And she said to me, and I quote, and this is when I was like, man, like if I really do get hired here, like, I'm gonna love it. She was like, I'll hire you just because of your beard, and I was like, oh man. Now I've got like a pretty decent sized beard. I mean, it's pretty big, whatever. Like I get compliments on it all the time, and so I was like, awesome, blah blah blah, and then she just told me to come up, on a different day, like Monday preferably around 3:30, and fill out an application. I was like, all right, cool. So I did that, and then she called me the same day and was just like, "Can you meet with our general manager?" Blah blah blah, and I was like, "Yeah, like sure." So I went and met with the general manager. Basically interviewed with him, and like we hit it off really well. And I'd never done any like bouncing before. I'd done security before, but it was for a mall, and it was just for like 2 months, so it wasn't a really big deal. I was just like kind of filling in for somebody because one of my mom's really good friends is like some like I don't even know property manager I guess at this mall, and one of the guys that works for her was going out of town for the summer, and I just so happened to be in Louisiana over the summer, so she was like, yeah, like if you want a job, I'll let you work all summer. So I did that, which it was really shitty. It was really hot, and it was like I'd say it was boring above all else because you're just kind of riding around in a vehicle around the parking lot all day. I read a lot of books that summer. Um, I didn't have unlimited data, so I absolutely ran my data through the roof, or tried not to, but I did it a few times. But whatever, because I was getting paid pretty well to do it, and I wasn't doing shit. So But so I was like telling the guy all this stuff, and I mean he pretty much just told me like, well, so you've never like bounced before. I'm like, no. And then he was just like, well, here's the thing. And he started explaining to me about how he was just like, it's different than anything that you can probably imagine. He said because the movies portray it as like this, like high octane, just ridiculous action packed like job. And he said, mostly all you're doing is you're dealing with drunk people. Now, I learned out quickly that at this particular bar, it's more professional than others. Like, I've worked at a couple up here where I'm at going to school right now, just trying different things out. And this is the most professional bar in Hattiesburg, I'd say. I mean, it's a college bar, so there's a lot of fraternity and sorority things going on, party bands, DJs, beer pong tournaments, shit like that. So it's really kind of my scene to begin with because it's like all people my age. So like you get a lot of just beautiful, beautiful women in there, like a bunch of cool dudes and shit. So I mean, it's pretty cool. And I work with 9 other guys. I mean, we've got a pretty big crew because of the fact, on Thursdays, we usually get around 500 people. Um, so, with that being said, these guys are like, at this point, they're like my brothers. I mean, the turnover rate at this job, I'm not going to lie to you, is pretty bad. I mean, because, you just got a bunch of people who are coming through and basically they think it's going to be like this action packed thing for them to do. And I mean, it turns out that it's not. And, a lot of people quit and move on, blah, blah, blah. Or like a lot of the people that we end up hiring are just people that have like been in there for a while. They come for a couple months and they like party every weekend or whatever. And then they're like, oh, I want to be a bouncer. And then, so they get hired for like, I don't know. They work for like the week, like one weekend, and they realize like, yeah, man, I'd rather be partying than doing this shit. Because I mean, basically, like we're just glorified janitors. I mean, yeah, we kick people out all the time, and we get into some pretty crazy shit. But at the end of the night, it's like the only thing we're really there for is to clean. I mean, we clean the shit out of the place, so basically, we all just joke around and say that we're glorified janitors, which it's not really that big of a deal. We don't mind cleaning up because, I mean, we get paid. So, I guess, you'd be willing to do pretty much anything for money. I guess not anything, but, you feel me. So, now basically, like, a normal night for me, let's say like a normal Thursday night. So, I get there around 9:30 or 10, so it's a pretty like late night job. We don't even open the bar until like 3 or 4, and I mean nobody goes in there at that time. And if they do, they're just either alcoholics or like friends who are just hanging out for a little bit, or like somebody that works there who just comes to like get some food because we get like a discount. And so normal night, I get there around like 9:30, 10, just depends on what's going on that night, and you look around for stuff to do. If there's anything that you missed the night before as far as like cleaning goes, then, you go ahead and do that. And then after you finish that, you can get like some chairs that are around the bar and post them up around like the walls and stuff, fix chairs that are at tables, blah, blah, blah. And then you just kind of like walk around. If you see anybody that's there that you know already, you could just, you can go up and talk to them. And then, I mean, I usually just kind of like, I'll make my rounds, say hey to people that I know, and then I just kind of like chill with the guys that I work with until people start coming in because I don't know why, but people just don't really go out until oh shit. I don't really know why, but people don't go out until like 11 o'clock, 11:30, which I mean it doesn't make any sense to me because they're paying to get in. So you would think they would want to be there for as long as possible, but apparently that's not how it works in the world. But so Um, then around like 11, 11:30 is whenever the big rush of people come in. Like, everybody comes in at one time, really. And then, and you just kind of like hang out. You dance a little bit. You like talk to people. And I mean, really, your job is to just socialize. And you're basically out partying without drinking because we're not allowed to drink on the job. Like I said, it's a professional bar. It's more professional than any of the other ones in the city where I live. So, um, you can't drink on the job, but you just kind of chill, you have fun, you kick back, and you just relax with your friends, and you like talk to girls, and you have fun. And then I mean, if there's people that need to be kicked out, then at that point, I mean, you try to be professional with them, and every once in a while, you've got that one guy who just doesn't want to leave, or that one girl who just like thinks she's better than everything. You know what I mean? And you just have to at that point, then you've got to use a little more force than normal. But I mean, it's always a fun time and a good story. Anytime we have to like do anything, above average level of aggression towards somebody. Um, the great thing about it though is, I didn't feel this way when I first started working there because we had kind of a shitty crew. But once the crew that we've got in there right now, like, you know, we all feel like brothers. We hang out outside of work and all that kind of shit. And you just know that we've got each other's backs is really, and it's the most important thing. I mean, it's not, and I'm sure it's not to the level of like a shit. I'm sure it's not at that level of like, if they're like a, a little squad or whatever that's at war. I mean, obviously, you feel a lot more attached to those people than you would just like guys who have your back at a bar. But I mean, you'd be surprised like the crazy shit we get into and like need each other for. I mean, but regardless, there's still that level of like camaraderie there, and you're like, yeah, like we're brothers in arms. Not really, but you get my point. Like, there's a strong level of like attachment to the guys because it's just like I said, you're getting into shit together and you're hanging out all the time, and I mean it's impossible to not you know it's impossible to not like feel like these guys are your brothers whenever you do that shit all the time. So that's good, and I think it's awesome. This is like the first job that I've really had that I've wanted to, that I've actually hung out with people outside of work and stuff. Not because like, I'm just some like lonely shut in, but it's just like, people that I work with before this, I've pretty much just done retail jobs and stuff like that. So, I mean, like, really, if you just got done working at, you know, this grocery store for like 8 hours, the last thing you want to do is like call up some dude that you work with, like whose name is probably Jimmy, who works in the produce department. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to fucking hang out with Jimmy. But the guys that work there, they're all like cool as shit. So it's more like hanging out with friends instead of hanging out with like some noob fucking guy you work with. And so that's always fun. That's always a good thing. Now, I do have to say though, like working there has completely changed. And I said this in my intro, but working there has completely, maybe I didn't say this in my intro actually, I don't remember. But anyways, working there has completely changed my perspective on alcohol and like how I view the consumption of it. I don't get me wrong, like I still drink. I like to have a good time, and like I'll go out if I usually don't get a day off from this place. As far as like the party days go, you know what I mean? But it's like it's really fun though. So, I mean, I don't by any means, I'm not saying like, oh, drinking's terrible. Like, I don't give a shit, dude. Do whatever you want to do. But I will tell you that, like, when you're sober and for almost 10 months, every single, like, 3 days a week for 10 months, you just watch people just get absolutely shit faced and make a fool out of themselves. Like, I don't care who you are, that's going to change your perspective and the way that you view drinking in general because I mean, people do stupid, stupid shit, and people want to say all the time, like, oh, that's not me. Like, when I get drunk, I'm just like, I just like act completely normal. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like, you don't understand. Like, I've had friends tell me that before while I'm talking to them about, how much I hate, like, watching so and so get like absolutely shit faced, and then my friends will be like, yeah, man, I hate when people do that, like, blah blah blah, and I'm like, bro. Like, I literally just saw you 2 days ago, and were acting a straight fool. And they were like, no, I wasn't. Like, I'm completely normal when I drink. I'm like, no, you're not. You just think you are. And that's the problem, is that everybody thinks they're being completely fine and, like, normal. but really they're not. And I mean, like I said, I'm not judging anybody. I don't give a shit what you do. Like, I still drink pretty crazy, but it definitely changes like your opinion on it though. Like I try to be chill, or I have a better understanding of what it means to what it looks like when you're drunk to people who aren't drunk, and so I just kind of like I limit myself more than I did in the past. Um, so now that I've got that off my chest, I guess that's really all I wanted to talk about. I guess the next video, or at least the next Scape and Listen type deal that I come out with, I guess I can tell the story of how this is like my third month there. We got into an all-out brawl with like 25 rappers. It was the most ridiculous thing. It was like six guys, like six of us versus like 25 black dudes. It was nuts. But that'll have to be a story for another time because this video is getting quite long. So thank you for everybody who listened, whoever did. If you stayed and listened to the whole thing, appreciate it. Alright then, peace out.